This episode is brought to you by CBS. DMV is a brand new workplace comedy turning misery into magic and chaos into comedy. Starring Harriet Dyer and Tim Meadows, DMV is here to serve you laughs. Watch Mondays at 8:30, 7:30 Central on CBS and streaming on Paramount+.
This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Psst, healthcare pros, word's out, and it's too good to keep quiet. Look, LinkedIn is revolutionizing job hunting, making it possible to search by specialty, shift preference, and salary. Endless scrolling is out. Whether it's a mental health therapist or dental hygienist, finding the perfect role is faster and easier than ever. Head to linkedin.com/healthcare and start your search today.
Welcome to episode 43 of the Inside Job Boards and Recruitment Marketplaces podcast. I am your co-host, Stephen Rothberg, with College Recruiter Job Search Site, where we believe that every student and recent graduate deserves a great career. And I am here with my co-host, Peter Zollman of the AIM Group.
Good morning, afternoon, evening, depending on where you, well, for all three of us, it's morning this time. So for all three of us, it's morning, including somebody who's just south of Toronto and somebody who's in Toronto. And then I'm way south of Toronto in Orlando. The AIM Group, by the way, is business intelligence consulting and conferences for recruitment marketplaces and job boards. And Dan Quigg is with Public Insight Corporation, which sounds really fancy. I mean, I always wonder whether that's better than Private Insight Corporation. But Dan, why don't you tell us two things in 10 seconds or less? Public Insight Corporation, who are you, what you do, and more importantly, what do you have to do with recruitment marketplaces and job boards?
Sure. Well, Public Insight, it's nice to say it's not our name describes exactly what we do, which is to uncover nuggets of gold within the open between market data and what's out there in the market sphere and what's out there between government sites. It's like to say it's finding lemonade out of lemons. Why it's valuable to recruiters is we do a lot within the job market side in our Talent View platform. So we're pulling in a lot of job market intelligence data. So that's specifically to that area.
Cool. So the market data that you're pulling in with that is related to job boards and recruitment marketplaces. Give our viewers like an idea of like what kind of data is that? How do job boards and recruitment marketplaces use that data?
Sure. Well, the best illustration I liken is to use is the role of market data is if you saw the movie Jurassic Park, right? And they're making the dinosaur. What happens to fill in the gaps for the dinosaur to make it, right? It's the frog DNA. So market data is really about filling in context gaps. So how things that you would lose by not having market data is you're missing the pieces to fill in the dinosaur. So things like how effective are job postings at being filled? Where are there supply demand gaps? Where are job seekers moving from and to, in terms of industries, in terms of job titles? Where are employers effective in presenting themselves within ads? There's a whole sequence. We have 153 market indicators, so they kind of come across the gamut of different things.
And who's your typical client? Is it a company? Is it a job board? Is it a recruiter at a company? And what kind of data can they get that they will then be able to use?
Sure. Well, it's kind of all of the above. We have, I would say our primary audience is, I like to call sourcing technologies. And that could be programmatic recruiting. It could be, just matching platforms. and we become a market source to those organizations. Another is recruitment marketing. So we certainly are, definitely active in that space as well. A little bit less on the direct job board side. And then directly within recruiting, we would typically have our solution be into the head of talent acquisition. So on the sourcing technology side, it's more of fuel. It's fuel that's feeding into their matching algorithms. It might also be used for business development. So who's hiring? Are they effective at hiring? That kind of thing.
Do you deal with the recruitment marketing companies like Shaker and Bayard, soon to be Appcast, and equivalent, or do you mainly deal with the corporate recruiting and TA functions?
No, more of the former. So definitely the Shakers and the Bayards of the world would be, right there for us.
So one customer group, then the employment advertising agencies like the Shakers, Recruitix, et cetera of the world, would retain public insight, subscribe to your data, and then if they've got an employer that's looking for engineering talent in Kansas City, for example, they could use your data to say, hey, this job board, and this job board are going to be good sources for you. This one and this one aren't. Is that a typical use case?
No, it's more. So let me kind of paint a picture. Maybe that might be clearer. So we have two ways that we license our data. One is we have a self-service analytics platform that is strictly go in and analyze the market yourself. But then we also license our data. So our data is typically incorporated into a CRM or a sales operations system, or directly into a product, maybe as a part of a feed to a machine learning model, or it could be as part of a service delivery. So the data itself gets absorbed into their ecosystem. So depending on if it's like ingested into a sales ops, it's going to help them to target employers. It's going to help them to speak truth to those employers. It's less about, which job board it might be more effective. So it's how do I speak truth to these employers that, because they're probably aware, the company is more aware of what's going on in that employer typically than the employer is, how effective they've been from a market perspective.
What does it really take to lead with impact in today's ever-evolving world? Welcome to Inside the C-Suite, the podcast where influence, energy, innovation, and empathy converge. Hi, I'm Christy Honeycutt, your host. Join me as I sit down with the boldest voices in leadership, visionaries who are not just making decisions, but making a difference. In every episode, we explore the heart of leadership. How do high-performing leaders harness their energy? How do they lead with empathy without losing their edge? How do they turn disruption into innovation and pressure into purpose? You'll hear unfiltered stories of adversity, resilience, and the raw moments that shaped true influence. This isn't about perfection. It's about presence, passion, and the energetic exchange that fuels transformation. Inside the C-Suite is your invitation to lead from a deeper place, with intention, connection, and courage. If you're ready to go beyond the surface and unlock what really moves leaders to action, hit subscribe and step inside. You can find us wherever you get your podcast fix. Inside the C-Suite, well, we're an energetic exchange. Let's lead with influence, live with energy, and create with empathy.
I hope that helps. I kind of rambled on that one.
And all of that data comes from public sources, the state employment department and the local economic companies and things like that, or
that's a very, very, very small piece of it. It's pulled from transactional sources. Yeah, we pull data from Indeed, Glassdoor. More and more, we're adding LinkedIn to that mix. So it's I like to call it, is data hiding in plain sight. So it's there. People can access it. It's what we would call a public persona, but it's not. Government data is really, it's bordering on worthless now. I mean, it's dated, and it's actually not even very accurate. So if you look at like the job openings data, it's based on surveys. We know that there are problems with surveys from our experience in the political realm with polls. And, it directly contradicts posting volume, which we're seeing definitely differences between what the government is saying should be happening and what we're seeing in the posting realm.
Yeah, as an owner of a job board, I can vouch for that. I keep seeing these stats put out, some of it government, some of it shared by other job board people, consultants, whatever, about the number of postings being higher or lower than it was a year ago or 5 years ago. And in this world of programmatic, the number of new job postings just doesn't mean that much. You can have 1 million job postings on your site, and if only 10 of them are seen and responded to, who cares?
That's 100% right. We think volume is a terrible indicator by itself. You don't look at the real estate market by looking at the quantity of house listings. You look at the price, you look at the turnover. Same thing with job postings. 40% of job postings are repostings. And many of those postings are many times repeated. So volume's a very bad indicator, actually, in a vacuum.
Yeah, and that varies widely market to market. Right, that the reposting in the U.S. is probably 10 times what it would be in a lot of other markets around the world. Peter, I think we have time for maybe one more question.
Yep.
Do you want to
and it's not a gotcha really, but if you had one bit of advice to give job boards, recruitment marketplaces, and their customers on how to use data and actually make use of the data, what would that be?
Boy, you threw me a zinger there. I would say to really focus on data that is actionable, and not get hung up on just metrics. Particularly in the U.S., we love ratings, we love scores, and then you look at that and go, so what? So we try to make our data as actionable as we can. So, not just looking at the numbers and looking at the metrics, but what can I do based on those metrics? As a quick example, we opinion mine every review. So we don't just report back a rating, but we report back the things that were most mentioned in those reviews, both positively and negatively. That's an actionable insight that comes out of our data.
Fair enough. So yeah, I think everybody in our audience, except Stephen, of course, has been guilty of getting lots of data and going into, analysis paralysis and not being able to actually do anything with it. So you have to use the data. If you're spending money with Dan, make sure you're using the data you get from him, right? Okay. Any last words, Mr. Stephen?
I would just
see you in 2 weeks.
I would just sum up, and it's kind of the title of this episode, that if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. Dan, it has been awesome. Peter,
that's incredibly insightful.
Profound,
right?
Did you come up with that one, Steve?
That was very profound.
I think it was either Abraham Lincoln or Confucius. It's one or the other.
One of these times I'll have to read you my quotation about reorganization from Petronius Arbiter. It's not really, anyway, another time. On that note, Dan, thank you. Stephen, thank you.
Been a
nice
pleasure
to have everything go technologically smoothly. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.